Ana Maria, thank you so much for giving me a little bit of your time, because I know you're a busy, busy woman. I know that.
Yeah, right.
So thank you so much for being here.
You're so welcome. It's my pleasure.
Let's start recapping your life, okay? You got a marketing degree from Georgia State University, and you have a master's from Complutense Madrid in international relations and communications, right?
Yes.
What got you into broadcast journalism? I mean, because you've done everything from correspondent, reporter, host, anchor. I mean, you've done it all.
I always, it's funny, because that question always kind of cracks me up, because I always say that destiny sort of reached into my life and took me by the hand and said, this is what you have to do, because you're right. I mean, I majored in marketing and advertising, but my last year of school, I wanted to work for the Olympic Games in Atlanta, and they needed liaisons, and for people that spoke more than one language, you know, to be liaisons for the media. And so I signed up, and I was very excited, but then they said, you have to have a minor in journalism. And I was like, oh no, I'm like this close to graduating. I just want to be done. But then I was like, well, you know, the flip side of that is I wasn't in a big hurry to graduate. So I said, all right, you know, I'll do it. And that's when I discovered television.
Yeah, and time flies. I mean, because look back.
Tell me about it.
Everyone from Julia Roberts to Anthony Hopkins and Shakira. I mean,
did
you ever think you were going to get to this point?
No, I never thought so. I never really had a defined career path. You know what I mean? Like, I never was like, no, I'm going to do this, and then I'm going to do this, and then I'm going to do this, and this is the end goal. You know, that's just not the way I think.
Sure.
So
I think it's hard for everyone just to know an exact thing that you want to do in your life. So I think it kind of gets and hits you, but it's just amazing. Like, your career path up to this point has just been unbelievable.
Thank you.
You worked for Edición Especial in Madrid as well.
Yes.
What difference do you see working in Europe and in the States?
I think the biggest difference with that experience was that the market that we were addressing was so far away and so different.
Yeah.
You know, because I was shooting stories in Spain for a U.S. market, so that was kind of that was a different dynamic. You know, but then again, it's the same dynamic as CNN and Español, because we shoot stories in the U.S. for a Latin American market.
True.
So it kind of prepared me for this, that's for sure.
Yeah, although you are more involved in this environment here. I mean, it's kind of like a tighter thing.
Yeah.
If you weren't doing this, what were you doing? What would you do?
What would I do? I'd be traveling. I have a huge one of my passions is working with children, doing different. Working with different charity organizations and benefits of that kind with children, usually in Central and South America, that are impoverished and don't have as many opportunities. And I really like to go down there and become involved and be more hands-on. If I had more time, that's what I would be doing.
So you've done it before?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
That's awesome. Yeah, free time in your life, right? It's kind of like a joke.
Yeah, right. Exactly. There isn't a lot of free time. There's not a lot of free time, but when there is, I like to put it to use, or just to hang out with my family.
So you find it hard to balance your career and your personal life?
Yes. That's been the most challenging, I think, has been because it is a career that requires a lot of time, and it requires a lot. You have to put a lot into it. A lot of yourself, from being on camera at any point in time. You really have to, you have to be at a certain energy level. You have to be centered. You have to be prepared. There's a lot that goes with it. And then, so to get to that point, there's a lot of pre-production, so to speak. So it is very time consuming, and it becomes difficult, especially because your personal life ends up your work ends up becoming your personal life.
Yeah.
You end up only hanging out with people that you see screenings with, or that, other journalists, or do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like,
because they share that time frame with you.
Of course.
Yeah.
And it's like, instead of saying, I'm going to go out and let's go out and have a drink, we're like, oh, well, I'll see you at the next screening anyway.
Yeah, which I think makes you appreciate so much more the time you actually have with your family and friends, no?
Oh, yes.
Oh my God, it must be exhausting at times.
Yes, it has been in the past, but I'll tell you what, the last couple of years I've really made a concerted effort to say, this is my job, and this is what I do, and this is what pays my bills, but then there's, this other aspect of my life that I really have to focus on too.
Set the line.
You go crazy.
So what advice would you give young people that are just starting in the industry?
I would say definitely take advantage of the opportunities that come your way. I would say work hard, be willing to do everything. Don't think that you're above getting coffee or scripts or photocopies, or I mean, because everybody starts out that way, and that's the best way to learn, you know. And basically, you know, just maintain your, you know, your focus. Just really and try to just be ethical.
Yeah.
You know, be ethical. Don't get caught up in the sensationalism of some news and this and that. I mean, really have a sense of what's right and what's wrong, and what your true goal is, you know, as a journalist, is to communicate, to inform.
Of course. Go beyond that superficial level.
Exactly.
And I know, because I've heard, and it just amazes me how many people are just thrown in there without no training, without not actual being taught.
Yeah.
Does it happen to you?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That was challenging. And that was a challenging opportunity because, like I said, take advantage of the opportunities, but know that it's not going to be easy. And I only say that because in my case, I was so fortunate to be in the right place at the right time, where CNN and Español needed a correspondent in LA, and I happened to be in town, and they happened to know me, and we had, you know, I'd been an intern with them, so there was all this background. They're like, "Okay, go to LA," and I was like, "Okay, great. You know, I'm gonna go be a correspondent in LA, but how do I do that?
Yeah.
You know, what does that mean?"
5, 3, 2, 1 live kind of thing?
Yeah, totally. It was like sink or swim.
Yeah.
And anybody that, you know, has shared any of the last 8 years with me, especially the first, you know, 2 or 3 years, it was an uphill battle.
Yeah, no kidding.
It was an uphill battle.
What has been some advice that someone has given to you and you're like, I'm keeping this for life, and you actually use it?
We have a lovely woman upstairs who works in showbiz, and she was the one, and this was huge advice. She taught me how to organize my thoughts for a junket, a press junket for films. And I remember I took notes that day, and I still carry them. And I mean, basically the advice was, and it sounds trivial and silly, but she said, make a list of 10, first of all, brainstorm everything that you can, that's kind of in your head, you know, about this subject or about this actor or about this film. Mm-hmm. Then, you know, kind of break it up into actor, director, whatever. And then just come up with 10 questions that you would ask. And of those 10, come up with the top 5, you know? And then you can go in and you ask the top 5. And then usually if you have some time left over, then you're that. And I think I still use that to this day. I mean, I don't write down questions anymore, but I have the top 5 in my head.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's been huge.
Good. Well, thank you so much, Ana María.
Oh, you're so welcome.
Before I leave you, though, what's next for you? What's next for Ana María Montero? Soaps?
Well, yeah, right. I don't know. You never know. As for CNN, I'll be here. I'll be here. Yeah. For a bit more, I think.
Nice.
In
Thank
Hollywood.
you so much.
You're so welcome.
Take care.